Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 7, The Activities of King Bharata. I believe it is text 11. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In the gardens of Pulaha Ashrama, Maharaj Bharat lived alone and collected a variety of flowers, twigs, and tulasi leaves. He also collected the water of the Gandaki river, as well as various roots, fruits, and bulbs. With these, he offered food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva, and worshipping him, he remained satisfied. In this way, his heart was completely uncontaminated, and he did not have the least desire for material enjoyment. All material desires vanished. In this steady position, he felt full satisfaction and was situated in devotional service. Purport. Everyone is searching after peace of mind. This is obtainable only when one is completely freed from the desire for material sense gratification and is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yo Me Bhaktya Prayachati, Chapter 9, Text 26. Worship of the Lord is not at all expensive. One can offer the Lord a leaf, a flower, a little fruit, and some water. The Supreme Lord accepts these offerings when they are offered with love and devotion. In this way, one can become freed from material desires. As long as one maintains material desires, he cannot be happy. As soon as one engages in the devotional service of the Lord, his mind is purified of all material desires. Then one becomes fully satisfied. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktiradhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yoga prayojitaha janayati ashu vairagyam jnanam chayadahaitukam. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, Chapter 2, Text 6 and 7. These are the instructions given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the supreme Vedic literature. One may not be able to go to Pulaha Ashrama, but wherever one is, one can happily render devotional service to the Lord by adopting the processes mentioned above. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. The Chaitanya Charitamrita indicates, or Lord Chaitanya's instruction is, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ata Eva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakale Ashanta. Because the devotee of Krishna is free of material desires, Nishkama. Ataeva, therefore, he is peaceful. On the other hand, those who desire material sense gratification, bhukti, those who desire liberation from material existence, mukti, or those who desire perfection in yogic siddhis, siddhi kami, sakale, ashanta, they're all restless. The restlessness of the mind arrives from or is born of, is a consequence of the mind being attached to something that is transient in nature. When the mind is attached to something transient, naturally the object, when it changes, the mind moves with it. So the mind cannot be steady or rest peaceful. And the transient nature of things manifest differently. One is the gross sense gratificatory or gross objects of material energy. They're completely transient in nature. When the mind is fixed on such objects, then these objects come into being and they go away. So the mind becomes restless. Or if it is subtle, even subtle energy, material energy, is transient in nature. So as long as the mind is fixed on either gross or subtle material objects or material objectives, the mind is restless. One cannot be peaceful. And people think that moving from gross to subtle within the material sphere will make them peaceful, which is not true. Even on the subtle platform, they can be restless, as long as the object or the objective is material. Those who engage in severe sense gratification, when they don't have that concept that something subtler can make them peaceful, what they do is they think that the solution for the restless mind is to just be good at going from one object of sense gratification to the other object of sense gratification. And if they're good enough at going fast from one to another, they can capitalize on the very, very short moments of peace of mind that they get, or happiness. I'll give an example. Now there's a new gadget out there, whatever that new gadget is. And as long as one doesn't get that gadget, the mind is restless because everyone else has it. You should also get it. So the mind is very restless. So they somehow or the other get it. And once they get it, the mind for that moment may be a little peaceful. You've got the object of your aspiration. So in that short moment, or whatever short time that the mind is a little peaceful, the person thinks, see, there's nothing wrong with this. I want to, as long as I did not have it, my mind was restless. Now that I have it, my mind is peaceful. And before we know, there's something else that is available. And the mind starts becoming restless again. Oh, but now you need that. And everything has a price to pay, something that needs an extra attachment to go along with this gadget or another gadget. And the mind again becomes restless. And then they go and buy that one. And the mind is for the moment, for some lapse of time, a little peaceful. So if a person understands, if I can learn this program of going from one thing to another thing fast, then those gaps between where the mind becomes restless is reduced. So that my mind is peaceful. This is called sense gratification program. So sometimes it looks like even the sense gratifiers are peaceful. I have everything I want. I'm happy. But it's not. It's the mind keeps jumping from one to another, one to another. And such a person is restless. Because the mind is attached to gross objects of sense gratification. Even on the subtle platform, that's the same problem. The muktikamis, they have a little knowledge. And they understand, this pursuit of material gross material sense gratification. No, there is no happiness in this program. Let me just completely get rid of all of this and try to make my mind blank. This is mukti kama. But the mind cannot become blank. It's not created to be blank. It is created to be full of cognitive thoughts. Because that's what the mind is supposed to be. It's the sense where all thoughts, desires, aspirations reside. So making it blank doesn't work. In physics, there is the concept of relative speed or relative velocity. Right? Relative velocity just means if an object is moving in one direction at some speed x, if you move in the opposite direction at the same speed x, then the relative speed is 2x. Or if you apply equal amount of force against it at the same speed or same force, then it stops, it nullifies. But that's not the solution for the mind. The mind is not meant to become dull and inert. Sometimes it is said that if that's the case, then the stone is a better yogi than most persons, because the stone doesn't have any thoughts. It's just sitting there in the heat, in the cold, in the rain, no food. Mana, apmana, doesn't matter. No one gives any attention to the stone. He is not bothered. But a person is not meant to be a stone. And in siddhis, thinking that by siddhi one will conquer over material energy is also a foolish idea. It doesn't make the mind happy or peaceful. So being disturbed by the mind is the nature or is the program within this material world. Every one of us has a gift called the mind. Actually a white elephant. And that mind bothers us every day, every minute with something or the other. It's an impulse, and there are many impulses. According to the modes of nature, there is the magnitude or variety of impulses. There are a lot of impulses, and some are very big. Some are small. Depends on the modes of nature. And then there is the variety of impulse. So the whole idea is to try to purify the mind, such that the mind is fixed on a spiritual object, an objective. On the spiritual platform, the object and the objective don't change. So the objective for the mind is to serve Krishna. And that doesn't change, even if circumstances change. The object of aspiration is Krishna. It's not like today he is God, then there were elections, and then he is not God. No, he is always God. Eternally. All the demigods got together, they had a ballot, and somehow he lost. He didn't get enough votes. No, he's always God. The object is always the same. So the path of yoga is to connect the mind to that supreme object that doesn't change. It's steady. And as our mind is connected to that steady object and objective, the mind also becomes steady. The unsteadiness comes when there is distraction from the object or the objective. So even within the process of devotional service on the sadhana stage, we find the mind being disturbed. And the factors that disturb the mind are the anarthas. Here Bharat Maharaj is described as gone way beyond that stage. Is way beyond anartha nivritti. He says is in this steady position. The next verse talks about bhava. This is the serious asakti stage. And in this stage, his mind is completely pacified. No disturbance at all. So sometimes people think having material things will make them satisfied or peaceful. So when we look at the lives of the Pandavas, Duryodhana was sitting in a palace, and he was sitting on the throne that controlled the entire world, and he was restless. His mind was restless. While the Pandavas were in the forest, they didn't have anything. They didn't even have a place to stay. But they were very peaceful. They were being attacked by Rakshasas. They were being attacked by Duryodhana's spies and other mercenaries who would come just to disturb the Pandavas. But they were completely undisturbed. The undisturbing factor is that they like Bharat Maharaj, were very satisfied in their service to Krishna. It's the service, being absorbed in that service or in that service attitude is what keeps the mind peaceful. When we see our service with a material conception, then the mind is restless. When we don't see our service in connection to Krishna, the mind becomes restless. Hiranyakashipu had everything that can be desirable. Not only did he have everything that he can desire, he also had the full capacity of enjoying everything that he desired. This is very special. Many people can desire sense gratification objects and they can even get them, but they don't have the capacity to enjoy them. He had the full capacity of enjoying them. To whatever extent he wanted to enjoy, he could enjoy it. It's not like he became tired of sense gratification. He never became tired. He could continuously enjoy his senses without any limit. Even for us as tiny human beings, even sense gratification after some time is tiring. One has to take a break because it is chapala sukha, right? Prabhupada describes in Nectar of Devotion that sense gratification after some time becomes boring. One has to take a little break and then come back to it. Hiranyakashipu didn't even take a break. It was just non-stop sense gratification and he was completely restless. All the demigods were afraid of Hiranyakashipu. All he had to do was raise his eyebrow and they would all shiver. On the other hand, Prahlad Maharaj was a very gentle young boy, 5-year-old. Was being continuously harassed by his father. Not just harassed, abused and tortured. Hiranyakashipu wanted to kill Prahlad Maharaj. And tormented like anything. You never know next morning what's going to come. One day, throw him into hot oil. Next day, trample him under wild elephants. Next day, Hiranyakashipu was restless thinking about the varieties of ways in killing Prahlad Maharaj. What else can I do? What else can I do? Can I throw him into a pit of snakes? What else? Mind was restless, trying to come up with new ways of torturing Prahlad, his own son. And he had named him Prahlad. Prahlad means most dear. Khlada means pleasure. Prahlada means one who gives intense pleasure. He named his son like that. And that very son gave him intense misery. And every day he was restless, thinking, how can I torture this fellow? On the other hand, the little boy Prahlad was completely peaceful. He was the subject of all of the torture. But he was completely peaceful. He not one day, or even for a moment, became angry with his father, who was the cause of all of this suffering for him. And 2, he never became frustrated or disappointed by Lord Vishnu. Because Lord Vishnu never showed up. It's not like, whoosh, don't worry, I'm here. Boom. Lord Vishnu didn't appear. But he felt all of the protection from Lord Vishnu, even without Vishnu showing up. But he never expressed, what took you so long? I heard so many prayers that when a devotee calls you, you don't even carry your upper garment, you don't even carry your shoes, you just run away for your devotee. What happened? Like, Garuda was not well, or you couldn't make it? No, nothing. Not even once complaints. Or expressed, what took you so long, my Lord? Just yesterday we were reading a verse which expresses the intensity of Krishna's desire to come and help his devotees. It is described that when a devotee calls, this is especially in reference to Draupadi, when Draupadi had called Krishna, Krishna ran in such hurry that when the guards offered him his jewel-studded shoes, he asked them, why do I need them? He had forgotten that he is leaving the palace. He had forgotten his upper cloth. He just ran. And this is Draupadi, with Prahlad as a little boy. But it's not like Lord Vishnu showed up. It was not until Hiranyakashipu smashed the pillar. Until then, Narasimhadev didn't show. But he never expressed disappointment, frustration, nothing. He was just peaceful. Why? Because he was fully satisfied in his serving through remembering. Because remembering Krishna and being with Krishna are not different. So he felt the presence of the Lord. So this peace of mind is a cultivation. Cultivation means to progressively become fixed in the object and the objective for the mind. Krishna and Krishna's service. Savai pumsam parodharma yato bhaktir adhokshaja. It's important, the word adhokshaja. Because when we start bhakti, it's not like we have realization of Krishna. We're trying to connect with that personality who's beyond the range of the senses, the mind, and the intelligence. That is adhokshaja. Prabhupada describes akshaja, means that which is born from sense perception. Everything in this world is born from sense perception. We can see, hear, touch, taste, smell, all together or one at a time. Every object in this world. Otherwise, we can conceive of it within the mind. If we can't conceive within the mind, we take help of intelligence to draw parallels or some other analogies to conceive of it. Krishna is beyond that. Akshaja. Another way of understanding akshaja is the Sanskrit language. Starts with a and ends with ksha. So anything in between is akshaja, born of. So language, the ability to describe Krishna. Even Krishna is beyond the ability of language to describe him. Yet all our acharyas write, just to get us to understand Krishna. And all of this is not possible unless Krishna reveals himself. So bhakti is to connect with adhokshaja, who's way beyond language, the senses, the mind, the intelligence. So what does a devotee have that keeps him fixed? And that too, it has to be ahaituki and apratihata. Without any material cause or reason, and apratihata, without any interference or hurdles or stoppage. Hata means to stop or to end. Apratihata, without any interference, without any stoppage, continuous. The only thing that a person has to move in that direction is Krishna's representatives. Or that Adav Shraddha, that faith that actually carries a person progressively to go from Krishna being Adhokshaja to fully manifesting himself. And if our mind is not peaceful, then bhakti, our so-called bhakti, will be hetuki. We will have some material reason for which we are engaging in bhakti. Or it will be pratihata. It will be a start-stop program. So for the heart or soul to be completely satisfied, yena atma suprasidati. This prasanna means happy. That's the state. Suprasanna means extremely happy. The only way is to be steady. We're not there. We're working on becoming steady. We do get glimpses and taste of happiness. Otherwise, who in their right mind would wake up early in the morning and chant the same mantra for 2 hours if there is no taste? There is something. We may not have taste from the Hare Krishna mantra, but our taste comes from the Vaishnavas, the relationship with the Vaishnavas. And that taste feeds and fosters the taste from the holy name. And we'll notice, if the relationship with the Vaishnavas gets disturbed, then even that, what we do every day, becomes such a difficult thing. Most people give up chanting, not most people, those people who give up chanting, most of them, they have a problem with the relationship with the devotees. That taste becomes bitter. Then everything goes awry. So this yena atma suprisedati. And as one engages in devotional service, one gets knowledge and detachment simultaneously or very quickly. Not that this is the goal of bhakti, but knowledge and detachment are necessary for the mind to become peaceful. The knowledge that let the mind not be fixed on something transient, let the mind be fixed on the personality of Godhead. And the detachment, the power to get the mind away from matter into the spiritual realm, comes from the strength of bhakti. This is Krishna Prasada. Bhakti is Krishna Prasada. In fact, it is Guru and Krishna Prasada, as it is said. The Guru engages us, trains us, helps us commit to bhakti, and Krishna keeps us there and brings us forward towards Him. So that jnana and vairagya, janayati ashu, vairagyam jnanam cha. Ashu means very quickly. Very quickly one gets the knowledge that let me not invest my consciousness in matter. Let me invest my consciousness in the Supreme Absolute Truth. And so yesterday we were hearing that a devotee is one who is introspective about these things. And as soon as we experience the restlessness of the mind, that's the question to ask. Where is my mind, or what is my mind attached to? Who is my mind attached to? And if the answer is anything but Krishna, then that's the indication. Whoa, naturally I should expect the mind to be restless. Where is my mind going? What is my mind honing in on? If that is something material, I will experience restlessness, disturbance, dissatisfaction, anger, frustration, fear. Vita, raga, bhaya, krodha. Unless one goes beyond these three, raga means a severe attachment to sense gratification, attachment to the material conception of life. And we are attached because we've developed these conceptions very carefully for a long time. We went to school, went to other places, and nicely made sure that these conceptions stick so well. We even got what's called gorilla glue. Isn't it called gorilla glue? So that these things don't go away. Bhaya, fear of relationships, fear of betrayal, fear, whatever, different ways in which we have cultivated fear. And frustration. Frustration arises from expectations. And expectations generally, or most likely, are material. As long as we repose and place material expectations on others, we are bound to be frustrated. Frustrated like anything. And the easiest thing is to blame someone for it. You were supposed to do like this. Why didn't you do so? To err is human. And to blame it on someone else is even more human. We look for blaming others. Because we consider, my expectations were right. And they did not meet my expectations, so they are to be blamed. This is frustration. But no one ever asked, did I even place the right expectations? What were my expectations? Should I be having any expectations? And Krishna says, one who overcomes these three, such a person can become ecstatic. Puta mad bhavam agata. The bhava stage or feeling ecstatic can only come when these three are progressively removed. Puta, one has to be purified of these three. That means in the conditioned state, these three constitute our nature. The conditioned nature. Anger, fear and frustration. Or attachment, fear and anger. So the vairagyam, the detachment, comes from execution of sadhana bhakti, careful execution of sadhana bhakti. Sadhana, all aspects of sadhana bhakti. Okay, any comments or thoughts? Anything you'd like to add or correct? There's a mic. Would you like to? Oh, Jai Jagannath Prabhu has his hand raised, and Himanshu. Yeah.
The role of the peaceful mind. We hear from the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada mentions that spiritual life is declaring war on Maya. And Maya has also been described as Dharatya in the Gita. So it's a pretty tremendous task ahead of us. And so oftentimes in our cultivation, the mind is quite disturbed oftentimes, necessarily. So then, in other words, we don't expect peace at a war. In a warring situation, you don't expect peace. So also, if we're declaring war on Maya, at least in the beginning stages, before we're developed, I don't expect to have a very peaceful mind. But I expect to have to tolerate that and to keep my eye on the prize, so to speak, and continue to move forward. So I was wondering, because you were speaking a lot about the peaceful mind, that was just a clarification on that point. How much emphasis should we give to a peaceful mind? Because in the last 2 weeks, I had about 5 devotees ask me this question almost the same question. I think beginning with Bhakta Tyler, so that was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then I think Mukunda asked me about it last week. And then Himanshu asked me about it a few days ago, I think. Anyway, and a couple other devotees. Right. And I gave my particular understanding at the time. So I want to know what really is the role of the peaceful mind, because I don't expect peace in a warring situation. I actually expect disturbance, but I have to keep my eye on the higher objective, as you were mentioning, and move forward. So I was wanting to know, and then the doubt comes, well, if I'm not peaceful, how can I focus? There's disturbance and so on. So I was wanting to know if you could clarify.
First, let's see if we are talking about peace in the same way. Are we on the same page about peace first? The materialists or even the impersonalists, their favorite mantra is Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And they have this really cosmic smile on their face. Wanting, peace means no one should come disturb me. No one should tell me to do something. I just have this nice smile. I sit somewhere, tranquil place, etc. For the karmis, if they get 5 minutes of tranquility, that is peace for them. And for that they will pay like anything. I was hearing one lecture where it was there when along the there are these billboards and advertisements on buses and big billboards. Come to Puerto Rico, where there are expansive beaches and beautiful sunrise. Come, be peaceful, or whatever. And when this person actually landed in Puerto Rico airport, there was a big billboard that says, come to New York. New York's a fun place. It doesn't matter where you go, the fun is always on somewhere else. Peace, I often narrate this little, story when it comes to peace. There was a king who was talking about peace with his ministers. So he wondered, what is really peace? So he threw out this art competition, called all the artists in his kingdom. And he said, anyone who can depict peace on canvas for me, I will give them a big reward. So all the artists got their canvases and paints, and they were working on it for some days. And then the final day was the exhibition. So the king came and all these different pictures were put up. And all the canvases showed tranquil, placid lakes and, sunrise and like that. Just very peaceful, calm. In one place on the wall was this canvas that was black. So naturally his attention went to that. It's like, what's that? And when he paid attention, the canvas depicted, it was cloudy, it was very, very dark, and there was a heavy storm. Raging winds, heavy rain, and all the trees were, being bent by the wind. And on one such tree, which was being bent by the wind, was a mother bird. She had her 2 wings on 2 little babies that were just hatched. The eggs were just hatched. And these 2 babies had their eyes closed and they were perfectly peaceful. And the king said, that is the picture of peace. That it's not the tranquil circumstances, everything is nice, hunky-dory. Every day is a raging storm. Out there or in here, it's a raging storm. Devotees who feel sheltered by Krishna and his devotees, that when that feeling of shelter is there, the mind is peaceful. That is peace. It's not that struggles are not there, it's not that difficulties are not there, inconveniences, they're all there. But when one feels the shelter of a relationship, with Krishna and Krishna's devotees. The mind is peaceful. That is peace. Because the greatest source of misery in this world is not the raging storm and this and that, or even the onslaught of Maya. The biggest cause for disturbance is not feeling sheltered. It's the anatha position. So it's very important that as devotees we feel the shelter of other devotees, we feel the shelter of Guru and Krishna. And this is what we have to work on in bhakti. Everything else is fed from it. The waking up in the morning. Many people ask, I'm not able to wake up in the morning. How to do this? I've set 4 alarms. I keep the alarm in the next room. I even walk to it, but I can't wake up. The waking up is not because of the alarm. Waking up is because of a relationship. If the relationship is there, waking up is easy. Putting the body through all sorts of difficulties throughout the day is easy. One's not disturbed by it. Although the body may be struggling or diseased, or whatever is the case. Take Prabhupada. I'm thinking of Prabhupada. New York, doesn't know anybody. Peaceful. What was the statement Prabhupada said? Although I was completely alone, I never felt alone. I always felt the presence of my spiritual master. That is peace. So there is a raging war with Maya every day, every minute. Something or the other is distracting us, disturbing us, bothering us. But where is the shelter? Are we taking... One who doesn't actively take shelter like that will remain disturbed, even if he's doing or she is doing all the activities of bhakti. It will not be peaceful. But a shelter, one who's actually cultivating that shelter, even in the most disturbing phase, will feel sheltered. That is peace I'm talking about. So yes, it's a war. But a soldier is at peace with himself in that war. Because he knows what he's doing it for. Arjuna is being asked to go on war, and his mind is disturbed. Oh, I'd rather go to the forest, because the forest is peaceful. I heard recently, the word aranya means forest. Rana means battle. Aranya is a place where there is no battle. So forest is considered peaceful. So Arjuna doesn't want to fight a battle, he wants to recede to the forest and be peaceful. Where Krishna is telling him, your actual peace is in the war, not in the forest. When you are clear why you're fighting that war, you'll be at peace with yourself. You're not clear. You're not clear that you're doing this as a service unto me. And as long as that is not clear, you'll be in the forest and you'll be disturbed. If this is clear, you'll be at war and you'll be peaceful. This is the relationship. Is this the feeling of shelter? And the duty of the onus of feeling the shelter lies with us. It's not that it lies in the hands of the Guru. Guru's already given shelter. Krishna's already provided. The onus is on us to find, to feel that shelter. It's on us. That's every person flying his own aeroplane. The onus falls on us to feel sheltered. And if you're not feeling sheltered, like I was saying earlier, it's easy to blame someone. Oh, they're not giving me shelter. Oh, no. I am not moving towards the sheltered position. The sun is already shining. I'm sitting in a dark room. I'm not sitting out in sunlight. Until then, I'll be... Does that address your... Okay. Himanshu? Huh? You had the same question. Karunanidhi Prabhu and then Derek and then we'll online.
Prabhu, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Gyanta mang santing ruchhati. So, having known me, they attain peace. So here again question is coming. How, big authorities, they could not know Krishna. So how can you know Krishna then?
No, it's not that big authorities did not know Krishna. Big authorities also know Krishna. One can know Krishna to the extent Krishna reveals himself. Krishna is not saying, you have to know my internal nature to be peaceful. He's saying you have to know something about me. I am the enjoyer, I am the proprietor, and I am everyone's best friend. We don't have to get into Krishna's mind. What's going on? Oh, only then I'll be peaceful. He didn't say that. He just said, he's the enjoyer. Krishna tackles exactly the root of everything. First of all, the problem for a disturbed mind is the enjoyment tendency. So he says, I am the enjoyer. The second is, the enjoyment tendency is fostered by a sense of proprietorship. He says, I am the proprietor. And then shelter. I am everyone's best friend. An unsheltered person is not peaceful. Derek?
This is a follow-up on Jai Jagannath Prabhu's question.
Okay.
Can
you turn a little bit like this to your left? Turn a little to your left. Okay, good.
So you're talking about...
Back to the deities.
Oh, sure. You're talking about feeling shelter, and I wondered how we could cultivate that feeling of dependency on the Vaishnavas even further. If you could just elaborate on that a little bit more, that would be really helpful.
Our process of accessing shelter of a devotee is through the hearing process. We hear. And for the hearing to go beyond the ear into the heart, it has to be accompanied by service. It's called shushushaya. Without that serving, the sound vibration doesn't enter the heart. Then we feel because the sound vibration, the instructions, they are the real shelter. If you type something in Google, right, we get an answer. And most likely Google has answers for everything. But a person will not find actual shelter. They will find information. Because the person giving the instruction is so far removed. But the Vedic process is, with the instruction, is the instructor as well. So we're not just picking instructions. Oh, I heard a class, there were nice points, and I have a nice collection of nice points. That is information. Transformation comes when we see those points in the light of the person speaking, or persons speaking, and we render service. Then there is transformation. And the transformation is that the person who's feeling completely shelterless in the material world feels the shelter of that devotee or devotees. And the mind, all the instructions are to bring the mind towards Krishna. Always remember Krishna. That is the position of shelter. A few days ago, Madhavendra Puri Prabhu gave a lecture, and the topic was about remembering Lord Chaitanya. And he said, when you remember Lord Chaitanya, even the most difficult things become easy. Oh, Ananda Chaitanya Prabhu was speaking, Ananda Chaitanya Prabhu was speaking. And if you forget Lord Chaitanya, even the simplest of things become very difficult. It's because the shelter is not there. When there is shelter, people can do all sorts of things. Just even in the material realm, people can do all sorts of things when they're sheltered. They feel sheltered by a person or by an ideology, and they will do anything for it. Then what to speak of the transcendental? The principles in the material world are valid not by independently of themselves. This principle of shelter in the material world works because there is an actual principle of shelter in the spiritual realm. Everything in the material realm is a perverted reflection. But we are looking at it from this perspective, so we always look at, oh, that's how it must be in the spiritual world. It's the other way around. That is how it's in the spiritual world, and that's how it manifests in the material realm. When people are sheltered, they'll do anything. They have the strength, the courage, the power to go beyond their limitations. True? Because that principle is true. Does that help? Okay. Okay. Ashraya.
So Krishna's peace formula is to Arjuna, as you were describing without the verse, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudyacha maya pritamano buddhir, like that. Do your activity at the same time, remember me. In other words, not like peaceful, not doing anything, but remembering Krishna while he's doing his duty. So although we don't need or we can say that we don't need quote-unquote, like varnashram system or something like that to be able to remember Krishna. It seems like there's a reality factor that's there that has to also be acknowledged. Like if Arjuna was asked to perform yagyas or something, how would he be able to remember Krishna while he was doing that? Because he's a fighter. That's what he knows how to do. So it's easy for him to just carry out his activities and remember Krishna, because he already knows how to do them. So it seems like there's a reality factor of we have to be able to do things that we know how to do so that we can actually think of Krishna while we're doing them. Otherwise it's so much of you ask a small child to teach a class and remember Krishna and it doesn't make any sense, kind of. So is that a material calculation, or does it make sense the way I'm expressing it?
I would like to say that it's material calculation. Because the potency of the Lord can do anything. It is not limited to one's ability within this world. So yes, a small child may not be able to give class, but on the other hand, a small child may be able to give class too. Lord Chaitanya could make the elephants and the deer and the tigers and all of that dance and chant Krishna's name. Srila Prabhupada could bring raw hippies and make them do things that's mind-boggling. Like steeped in heavy in drugs and intoxication. I can't even describe it because I don't know what it looks like. I have not met persons like that. But just even if I were to stretch my imagination to the other side completely the other side of the continuum, it's possible. In the Bhagavad Gita, because it's preliminary study, Krishna is using conditioned nature as the stepping into. It's preliminary. Once you come to Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, these don't apply. It doesn't mean that we don't look for, those ways or bring people into the realm of Krishna consciousness, recognizing certain abilities or capacities. It has its place. But that's not the only paradigm. Yeah? Gokulananda Prabhu? Yeah, okay. Who's asking? Okay.
How can we as practicing devotees experience the fullness of Krishna's protection and complete satisfaction of heart as Prahlad Maharaj was experiencing?
Utsaha. Since we're studying Nectar of Instruction, Utsaha Nishchayat Dhairyat, and very importantly, Tat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyaga Satovrite. These 6, they actually help us feel the shelter of Krishna. This is why Bhakti Prasiddhyati, it moves in the direction of perfection. Or said simply, follow the instructions of the spiritual master with whatever feelings that we can extract. Feelings of love and gratitude that we can extract. If you have only, 0.1% of love, that's good enough. Use that. Love it's not like some wishy-washy, abstract thing or a sentimental thing. Okay? The first thing we learned in Utsahan, as Prabhupada says, Bhakti is not some imagined ecstasy or speculative imagination of certain things. It's practical activity. So love, another way of understanding love is the strengthening of faith. When there is faith, love develops, nurtures. And for faith to develop, one has to apply the instructions. Vijnana feeds faith. Without Vijnana, it's not possible. So one may get the best of instructions. All instructions are wonderful. But whatever instruction, if one doesn't apply, faith doesn't manifest from it. So that's how love develops. Feeling shelter means to follow the instructions. We were discussing Narada Muni's example a few days ago. Right? Narada became very attached to the Bhaktivedantas. And the attachment came because he was eagerly, ardently wanting to serve them and follow their instructions. And that catapulted him all the way up north as a young boy. Walking through cities and forests and towns and villages. But he didn't stop. Oh, okay. Is it a quick one?
Probably. Expectations. You mentioned that frustration comes
from material expectations.
Yeah, from material expectations. So, but it seems difficult to even approach spiritual life without any expectations, even in relationships.
Yes.
So, can you give an example that we can follow of what does it mean to be without expectations?
In the material world, a person feels happy or satisfied when things are moving from there to here. Money, fame, knowledge, whatever it is, it's moving from there to here. It's all about taking. That's the material paradigm. An expectation would be then to come to spiritual life and apply the same paradigm. Then there is frustration. So right in the beginning, one should learn, what is bhakti about? Bhakti is about giving. Materialists come to God and ask, give. And when they get, they become happy. Oh, God is so kind. God, you're so great. And the first lesson in bhakti is to come to Krishna to give, not to take. Whatever it is, a person, as long as he or she is giving, they're happy. They will be happy in spiritual life. Giving. Whatever comes, that's beyond my jurisdiction. If something comes, fantastic. And that's part of the relationship building. But if every devotee is thinking of giving, naturally someone else has to receive also. But giving is the paradigm. We come to give service to Krishna. We come to give service to the devotees instead of taking. So the expectation is giving. I'm looking for opportunities to give. That's the expectation. Then one will not be frustrated. But if one comes thinking, oh, I'm looking for the same things. Rupa Goswami said, pratigranati, bhojayate. Where is that happening? But dadati first. Dadati first. Bhunkte first. Like that. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Premanande.